that you're going to come back and join us again. And so here's what I want to share with you tonight. I don't know if you've had something that you've been pursuing now for a while. Maybe it's some type of goal, some type of dream that you've been setting out for yourself. Maybe you always wanted to start your own business. Maybe you've been thinking about going back and getting another degree. Maybe you're married and you've been sort of hoping and wishing and trying, and you haven't been successful yet at actually having a child. And so that's really, really starting to get you worked up. And you're like, you know what? Hopefully this is eventually going to happen. Or maybe perhaps there's something particularly, whether it's around relationship, whether it's around finances, or whether it's one of these just personal goals that you've been looking to make happen for yourself, and it's not quite happening on your timeline. In other words, you thought that it would have already happened by now. You thought for sure by this point you would have gotten a promotion. You thought for sure by this point that literally that you'd be married by now. You thought for sure by this point you would have already started your own business. You thought for sure at this point that you would have gotten that other degree or that master's degree. You thought for sure that you would have finally realized this goal and this dream that you wanted to make happen. And unfortunately, as you look at this thing that you've been wanting to make happen, it just still hasn't happened for you yet. And you find yourself starting to doubt yourself. You find yourself starting to doubt the process. And you find yourself starting to now start literally make mental adjustments in case this thing doesn't happen for you. And so now you're mentally prepared in case this business does not actually become a realization for you. You're mentally prepared in some ways in case of the fact that maybe perhaps you don't have this child. You're sort of mentally prepared at this point, and you're starting to think to yourself, you know what, maybe I'll be okay if I just continue on this path and I don't realize this goal or this dream. And what I want to tell you is, wait a second, hit the pause button. Listen, don't count yourself out just so early. And what I want to tell you is, listen to me and trust me on this, that your time will come. And you said, but Andy, you don't understand. I've been trying to make this thing happen now for years. And what I'm saying to you is, I do understand, but I need you to listen to me carefully, that your time will come. And so do not count yourself out just yet. And so you'll never understand this, but sometimes there are certain things that just need to move into position. There are certain people that need to come into your life. And a lot of times there's some things that you need to do, that you've got to develop so that you can grow, so that you can prepare yourself for this very thing that you want. I'm telling you, there's nothing more tragic than for you to have something happen for you in life and you not yet be prepared for it. You know, I remember one time hearing somebody say, and someone have an expression when they said, Lord, please don't allow my gifts and my talents to take me someplace that my character can't keep me. And so what I need you to realize is that sometimes people have immediate and very quick success. Sometimes people are very talented, and because of their talent, things happen to them very swiftly. But because of the fact that they didn't go through the process so that they could develop their character, when they finally do have the success, it comes and it goes, because they weren't prepared. And so what I want you to understand is that everything that you've gone through up until this point has been part of the process to prepare you for the time that has your name on it, to prepare you for that golden opportunity. And what I'm asking you to do is to not throw in the towel, but I'm asking you to just continue to hold on to the vision, continue to do the work, and understand that your time will come. And so I bring that up because, you know, just coming off of just this past week, I had an opportunity to deliver a keynote for the Office Depot Foundation. And I've just been coming off of what I call just really an extraordinary quarter. These last 3 months, and I know we have one more month left of this year, but these last 3 months have been extraordinary and really explosive in my business. Just one opportunity after another, one keynote after another, one training after another, one private training with coaching clients and so forth. And so I have been extraordinarily blessed. And so what happens is, in those times when you are having a great amount of success, sometimes you can very quickly forget about the season beforehand, when you were just sort of waiting for your time, when you were sort of waiting for your opportunity. And so, you know what, it didn't dawn on me till just literally as I was getting ready to deliver this message to you tonight, that it didn't dawn on me that I think about this, that it was literally about 3 to 4 years ago where the very conference, the very event that I was delivering the keynote message for, I remember being at that particular conference. I remember being at that event as an attendee. And I remember sitting at my table and sort of looking around the room. And as I was looking around the room, I said, my goodness, look at all these amazing people in here. Look at all these business owners. Look at all these people who are CEOs and presidents of major and large nonprofit organizations and also companies. And I remember just looking at the room and just thinking to myself, like, wow, there's got to be at least over 500 people in here. And I remember as the day progressed and I was looking at the different speakers that were coming on the stage, I remember saying to myself that, you know what, I've got to find a way to become one of the speakers at this event. This is a powerful event. This is an extremely, what my good friend Lewis Moore would say, a top-notch event. And so I've got to make sure that I can find my way and get my way up on the stage. And so I wanted to come up with a game plan and sort of strategy so I could see if I could build the right connection so that eventually I could have the opportunity to be able to get on the stage. And I remember my wife telling me, hey, make sure you go up to the front and that you actually speak and introduce yourself to the person who is over the event. And so I remember sticking around, waiting for the event to end, go up to the lady who was over this particular event. I went up and I introduced myself and said, hey, how you doing? My name is Andy Henriquez. I'm a speaker and a coach. And, you know, I would love an opportunity to be able to speak here at this event. And I remember we had this opportunity to meet and it was a conversation. And guess what? Absolutely nothing came as a result of that particular conversation. It didn't lead to any kind of follow-up. It didn't lead to me getting an opportunity. It did not lead to any greater chance of me ending up and being up on that stage. And so the following year came, and guess what? I wasn't on that stage, even though I wanted for that to happen. And then 2 years later, guess what? I wasn't on that stage again. And unfortunately, just things didn't line up. And so what I need you to understand is, though, when it's your time, I don't care what it is that is going on, the right things will begin to happen. The right things will begin to get orchestrated, that you won't have to pursue this thing, but rather it will come and it will begin to pursue you. And so I think about the events that led up to me being one of the keynote speakers for this particular event. And so I can rewind it all the way back to another event that I attended, opportunity to go up and have a quick conversation with somebody who was at that event, who eventually became my client, who then invited me to come into her room to speak to her people. And lo and behold, guess who was sitting in that room when she asked me to come and address some of her coaching students? The very lady that I introduced myself to 3 years before that to see if I could possibly get on her stage. And at that time, it just wasn't my time. At that time, it just wasn't the time for me to open up that door. But this time, 3 years later, it was my time. And now here I am, I'm speaking at the front of the room and literally speaking right there in the front of the room, sitting right there, dead smack in the front of the room, someone who is literally right there, having the opportunity to watch me speak, having the opportunity to see the impact that's taking place in the room. And now I'm done speaking, and this lady, the same lady that I pursued 3 years before, she took the time to come up and say, hey, listen, I really enjoyed your presentation. I would love to hire you as one of my personal coaches. I would love so that you can help me to develop and learn how to share my story. And so I picked her up as a personal client. And then that relationship grew. And without me requesting, she said, hey, listen, I've got this phenomenal event. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. We do this phenomenal event every single year. And on the inside, I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, this event that she's bringing up to me, this was the same event that I was sitting in the seats 3 years ago and trying to figure out how could I possibly get myself on this stage. And now she's telling me, hey, I don't know if you've ever heard of this event, but I think you would be a phenomenal, I would absolutely love if we could have you come in as a speaker. As a matter of fact, we're expecting a little over 600 attendees. And I know that you most recently went ahead and actually wrote your book and we would like to purchase over 600 copies of your book so that we can give your book away to every single one of the attendees. And you see, at that moment, because of the success that I've been having, it's easy for me to dismiss what took place 3 years before. You see, it's easy for me to get sort of caught up and think about, well, this is supposed to happen because I've been doing keynote after keynote. And of course, I would expect you to buy my books because the last company that brought me in also bought hundreds of copies of my book. And so it's easy to lose sight and lose perspective and not go back to that moment where I was sitting down in that very same conference that I was the keynote speaker for, when I was the attendee, and I was trying to figure out how I could create that opportunity for myself, and it wasn't my time. And so what I need you to understand is that when it is your time, you will begin to make the right contacts. When it is your time, your opportunities, you won't have to pursue them, they will pursue you. When it is your time, all the right things will begin to fall in place, and your time will be your time. And so I don't know where you are right now in your process. And whatever it is that you're looking and hoping to make happen. Maybe you've been hoping to take your business to the next level. Maybe you've been at a 6-figure mark and you've been hoping to get to the 7-figure mark. Or maybe you just haven't quite hit that 6-figure mark. You've been hoping to get there. Or maybe perhaps you've been trying to figure out how you can collaborate with somebody, how you could work with somebody. Or maybe you've been trying to figure out how you can promote your product or your service and make things happen. And things haven't quite happened the way that you anticipated for them to happen. And you're starting to get a little weary. And you're starting to count yourself out. What I want to remind you is that you've got to keep the course. Just keep your head down and continue to do the work. And believe me on this, that your time will come. And you will look back and you will say to yourself that, you know what, I am so grateful, I am so thankful that this is the moment that this took place. I think about this opportunity that I had just last week. Had I had that opportunity 3 years ago when I was pursuing it, my book would have not yet been available. My book would have not yet been published. And so those 600 people, 600 plus people that got their hands on my book, those 600 people would not have been able to be influenced and impacted by the stories and the message and the 7 principles that I share in my book. And the title of my book, for those of you who don't know, is called Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. And the change and the shift that I know that is going to happen in the lives of those that actually decide to read the book, those changes and those shifts would not happen. The people that were in the room that heard me speak, that now are already asking me if there's any way that they can book me for this next upcoming year, those individuals possibly would not have been in the room 3 years ago. And so it needed to happen at this time, at this particular stage. And anything before that would not have amounted to the level of opportunity that I'm having right now. And so I'm sharing this with you because I need you to understand that your time will come. And so the worst thing that you can do is throw in the towel prematurely. The worst thing that you could do is start counting yourself out. The worst thing that you could do is start to judge the process and start to convince yourself that it's not going to happen, or to start shrinking in your level of thinking. You know, I had the biggest smile on my face, literally from ear to ear, when I was looking at one of my friends who did a post on social media. And the post that he made on social media is that the product that he has is about to get placed into stores across the country, into literally Bed Bath and Body Works, across the country, that his product is about to be placed. And I remember when I was looking at this post, the reason why I was smiling from ear to ear is because I can remember probably about 4 years ago, he was responsible for bringing me in for a particular training. And so I was coming into this particular university that he was working for, and they asked me to come in and actually train many of their faculty and staff members, and to also train many of their recruiters that were responsible for recruiting people into their actual university. And so I remember when I was done conducting that training and he handed me over my check for my speaking engagement. He said, man, listen, man. He said, Andy, I just want to let you know you're such an inspiration, man. He said, I've been working here at this university and, he says, I'm grateful and I love this university. But he said, man, I invented this product, man. And I've been sort of sitting on this product and I've been wanting to bring it to market. And I just have been trying to get this patent on this product. And I'm just hoping, man, that one day I'm going to be out there, man, living out my dreams like you. I'm hoping that one day that I'm going to get out there and this product is going to become a reality. And so that was a conversation we had probably about 3.5, 4 years ago. And the beautiful thing is, 2 years after that, he's sitting in the front row at one of my events and he said, Andy, remember the conversation that we had when I brought you in to speak and you were conducting the training for my university? He said, listen, man, I finally got the patent and I want to let you know that I just launched a product. And I said, really? He said, yeah, man, I just launched a product. I said, man, that's absolutely amazing, man. He says, I'm hoping that eventually I'm going to be able to leave the job. I run into him 6 months after that. And now he goes, hey, Andy, he's sitting in the audience again. I'm speaking at the Jim Moran Institute. And he says, hey, Andy, I just want to let you know, man, that I cut the cord. I left my job, man. And that product that I told you I got the patent out, we launched a product. He said, things are taking off. And he said, man, you won't believe this. You won't believe this because of what's happening with social media right now, man. He said, I found a couple of guys who have a very big following on YouTube. I connected with them and they fell in love with my product. And so now a couple of them have been doing videos and promotions for my products. He said, one of the guys did a promotion for one of my products and it went viral. He said, Andy, you won't believe this. But he said, in one night, I sold more than we had sold in the previous 3 months because this video went viral. He said, literally, we spent the nights literally where we did not go to sleep because we were putting in orders and trying to ship all the orders out. And then I watch him, and it's literally now another year later, and this guy's getting placed into a big retail store. And when I look at this, I said, man, this is crazy. This is insane. Why? Because I remember when we were just having the conversation. I remember when it was just a thought, just an idea. I remember when he said, hey, man, one day I want to be able to leave my job, man. I got this product that I've been sitting on. I think it's time for me to try to get a patent on it. And what I need you to understand is 4 years ago, had he launched that product, there are so many things that have fallen into place right now that if he launched it 4 years ago, it was not yet going to be his time. Some of the guys that have gotten his product off the charts right now through YouTube, many of those guys, their YouTube channel didn't even exist 4 years ago. You see, some of the contacts that he made and the individuals that were able to open doors, they would not have been able to open up those doors for him 4 years ago. You see, he needed this particular opportunity. He needed to wait for this particular time. You see, it wasn't his time. And what I discovered when I was talking to him is that here I am, I was thinking that this product that he had, he developed it 4 years ago. Come to find out, he actually developed this product 16 years ago. And he had been sitting on this product for 16 years. And so if you think about somebody who's had a dream for 16 years, you would start thinking that maybe this is the time to start telling them, hey, you know what? Maybe you need to give up on your dream. Maybe it's not going to happen. You know, it's been more than 10 years. It's been over 15 years. You've been talking about making this product launch. You've been talking about taking this business to the next ground. You've been talking about writing the book. You've been talking about going back and get another degree. You've been talking about starting a family. You've been talking about this thing now for 16 years. And you would think that most people would think after 16 years, it's time to throw in the towel. But I am so grateful that this guy, that he understood that sometimes you just got to hold on to the vision, and there's just going to have to be a time, and that eventually your time will come. And so even though it didn't quite happen in his timeline, guess what? His time came. And so he invented a product, and I want you can go ahead and look it up. It's called the Cut Buddy. And some of you might be saying, well, what's that? And he came up with this brilliant idea. He said, you know what? Oftentimes he'd go to the barbershop, he'd get a haircut, and in between making trips to the barber, he'd want to go ahead and tighten up his haircut and spruce up his hairline. And so he invented this just really, really cool product that without a barber's assistance, that allows you to be able to give yourself a really nice tape line, a little trim line. And for the gentlemen out there who know, if you've ever been in between haircuts and you had someplace you wanted to go, right? You had an interview, or you had a hot date, or you just wanted to look presentable. If you ever tried to do that on your own and fix your hair, if you're not a barber, you could really mess that up. But he created something that creates an outline so that you can give yourself a pretty sharp shape up in between those trips to the barbershop. And now he made some great partnerships of people who have great YouTube channels, people who have great following, who've been promoting his product and doing videos, and those videos have gone viral, and it's led to some tremendous sales. And so what I need you to understand is that when he was talking to me at that time, I didn't know exactly when his time would come. And I don't even think that he knew when his time would come, but he was willing to keep pushing forward, and he didn't give up on his goal and his dreams. And so I bring that up because literally, I don't know. I have no idea as to where you are right now when it comes to your goal and your dream, when it comes to whatever it is that you're looking to make happen. But what I need you to understand is that your time will come. Maybe perhaps nobody else has told you this. Maybe perhaps you're no longer believing that this is true for you. I need you to listen to me carefully. Your time will come. But you still are responsible for holding on to this vision that you have for yourself. This vision that you have of writing the book, the vision that you have of starting a business, the vision that you have of getting the degree, the vision that you have of starting a family. Listen, your time will come. But in between, right, this thing that you want to make happen that has not quite happened right now, I need you to understand that there's still an obligation on your end to continue to do the work. You see, my friend, over those 16 years, he was still working on perfecting this particular product. He was still doing the research on the patents. He was still periodically checking the marketplace and seeing if there's anything out there. And so even though a long time had gone by, he still didn't lose sight of the vision. He still didn't surrender to the dream. He didn't throw the dream away. And so what I need you to understand is right now, if maybe perhaps, you know what, you've started to second guess as to whether or not things are going to happen to you. I just want to remind you that you've got to hold on to this dream, this goal, this vision that you have. You have to be willing to continue to do the work, and you have to be patient, understanding that what? Your time will come. The right people will begin to show up. Doors will begin to open for you. I remember it was over 10 years ago, literally over 10 years ago, when I was starting to get involved into personal development. I left my company, my previous accounting firm that I was with back in 2004. That's 2004 is when I decided to step out and start pursuing my personal dream and desire of becoming an entrepreneur. It was probably around 2000 and maybe 5 and 6 that I really realized that, you know what, maybe perhaps that I want to become a speaker, that I want to be able to develop my gift and so forth. At that time, it was just a thought. It was just a thought. I was listening to motivational speakers. I was watching people's videos. I was going to seminars and workshops and so forth. And I was just seeking little opportunities here and there to be able to speak. This was 10 years ago. Finding little opportunities to go in and speak to some people in some of the high schools and go speak to some of the people at the middle schools and going in and speaking for people's organizations for free. Small, when I say organizations, I'm talking about little small groups. People asked me to come in and speak. And I remember I was just getting things started. And I remember I was looking at some of the greats in the industry. And I remember specifically honing in on this gentleman by the name of Les Brown, one of the top 5 speakers in the world. And I remember just saying to myself, man, I really wish, man, I've been listening to this guy's tapes, and I've been listening to this guy's CDs and so forth. And he's so powerful. He speaks with so much conviction, and he shares these stories and so forth. And I remember Googling him and finding his website and printing out his bio. And I'm not going to lie, I remember taking his bio and sort of replacing his picture, putting my picture and editing the bio and so forth. At that time, I was just dreaming. It was just an idea, just a thought. And then I'll never forget, my telephone rang, and it just happened to be a quaint, someone I wasn't even good friends with. I hadn't spoken to in a while, and she gave me a call. She said, "Hey, how are you, Andy?" I said, "I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic." She said, "Well, listen." She said, "Listen, how are you? What are you up to?" I said, "Well, listen, I'm getting really heavy into personal development. And, I've been looking at some of the greats in the industry, and I just really love it. And I'm starting to feel this knock on my heart. I want to be able to speak and so forth." She said, "Really? Well, who do you like listening to?" I said, "I love listening to this guy by the name of Jim Rohn. He's got this CD. It's called The Art of Exceptional Living. I've been listening to that CD over and over and over again." I said, "I like listening to this guy called T. Harv Eker. I've signed up for one of his seminars. I'm going to be going to it. I went to one of his seminars, but now I'm signing up to one of his 3-day seminars. It's going to take place out in California. I can't wait to go. But there's one guy, I'm telling you, I love listening to this guy right here, man. I listen to this guy every single day. His name is Les Brown." She said, "Oh, Les Brown." She says, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh man," she says, "Les Brown, I've met him before. He's come by my church before and spoken. He's a powerful speaker. He's a dynamic speaker. As a matter of fact, he just spoke for my church just this past week." And I said, "Wow, really?" She said, "Yeah, he's absolutely amazing." I said, "Oh man, that's awesome. I'd love to meet him one day." And she said, "Oh, okay." And then so we finished up small talk. I said, "Well, what are you doing?" She says, "Well, you remember I was getting my law degree. I finished my law degree, and I'm practicing law now. Things are good." And she says that I'm about to get married. And I said, "Man, that's awesome." And then I remember she called me back up the following day. She said, "Hey, Andy." I said, "Hey, what's going on?" She says, "Do you have a quick minute?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And she says, "Well, there's somebody I want to introduce you to." I said, well, who's that?" She said, "Well, hold on a second. I've got Les Brown on the other line." I said, "What?" She said, "I got Les Brown on the other line." I was like, "What?" She says, "Hold on a second." She clicks over and she clicks back over. She says, "Hey, listen, Andy, I've got Les on the phone." And Les Brown pops up. He goes, "Hey, how you doing, Andy? This is Les Brown, Baby Brown's baby boy. Baby Brown's pride and joy." I said, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Brown, how you doing, sir? It's a pleasure to meet you." And he says, "Yes, she told me that you live in Florida." I said, I am, sir. I'm in an area called Plantation, Florida." He said, "Actually, I'm going to be in Florida this upcoming weekend. I'm going to be in Orlando, Florida. I'm going to be putting on a seminar and a workshop. I'd love for you to attend if you're interested." I said, "Absolutely." He said, "How far is Orlando, Florida from you?" I said, about 4 hours, sir, but I can make it." And I remember getting off that phone call and saying to myself, like, this is insane. I've been listening to this guy now for about 2 years and saying to myself, man, maybe one day I'd love to meet him. But at that moment, my time had come. I got a phone call and I got put on the phone directly with this man that I've been trying to figure out how I was going to meet one day. And so what I'm saying to you is you have no idea how it's going to happen for you. You have no idea as to when your time will come. You have no idea as to who's going to come into your life that's going to be able to connect you with the right person, who's going to be able to open up the right door for you. You have no idea as to when that you're going to get this renewed level of focus, and that things will begin to align themselves so that you can start the business, so that you can go back and get the degree, so that you will be blessed with a child, or you will be blessed with a husband or a wife. You have no idea as to when things will align and things will begin to fall in place. And so maybe you've lost heart. Maybe you've begun to throw in the towel. And what I want to remind you is that your time will come. And your only responsibility is to continue to hold on to the vision that you have. Your responsibility is to continue to do the work. Do whatever it is that you can do that's just going to move you towards your goal and your dream, and be willing to trust the process. I'm not always going to happen the way that you intended for it to happen. It's not always going to happen the way that you thought it would happen in your mind. But if you continue to hold the vision, if you continue to do the work, trust me on this, that your time will come. And when it does, I can't wait to hear your success story. I can't wait to hear about how the book got published. I can't wait to hear about how you got the promotion. I can't wait to hear about how you finally were able to find that husband or that wife. I can't wait to hear about how your business went to the next level. I can't wait to hear about the amazing thing that you didn't think was going to happen for you and how finally your time will come. So stay in the game. Don't throw in the towel. Hold on to the vision. Do the work. Trust the process, because your time will come. And you know, of course, this wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't show up for your life, guess what? Nobody else will. All right. Well, listen, I am so super excited. I'm so grateful that all of you decided to tune in and join me for the Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational movement. Now, for those of you who are tuning in right now, if for some reason you haven't yet gotten your copy of my book, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life, I want to tell you, you are missing out. This book is transformational. In the book, I share 7 very powerful principles that I believe is designed to help you from living an ordinary life to living an extraordinary life. I share with you principles that I've learned in my own personal life and from other people that have had such significant impact in my life. Principles like trusting the process, principles like making sure that you have faith, principles like ensuring that you continue to just show up in spite of the circumstances, in spite of the challenges, principles like being unstoppable throughout your process. And so there's some key fundamental principles that are required to be able to elevate your game, to be able to take your life to the next level. And so if you haven't gotten your copy yet, you want to go to Amazon.com and make sure that you get a copy, or you can go to BarnesandNobles.com, or you can go to ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com, ShowUpForYourLifeBook.com. Regardless of where you choose to go, just get a copy of the book. It is going to make a significant impact in your life. As a matter of fact, once you read the book, I would absolutely love to hear from you and hear about what kind of impact that this book has had in your personal life. It would absolutely be a joy for me to hear about how your life had been transformed and impacted by this book. And of course, for those of you also in the South Florida area, you know, I am going to be speaking, as a matter of fact, let's see here, Saturday at the Women's Success Summit. And so if you're in the South Florida area, specifically for the women who are tuning in, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are looking to take your business to the next level, then there is a very good friend of mine, a woman by the name of Michelle Villalobos, who is putting together a very powerful 3-day event. This is a 3-day event. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The first day of the event actually starts tomorrow, but you can still, in fact, register. And so I want to go ahead and invite you to make sure that you do that. You can get more details and be able to register at the Women's Success Summit. Once again, that is Women's Success Summit, and you'll be able to get all the details. Just go to Google or type in Women's Success Summit. Phenomenal event that is going to be down in Miami, Florida at the Downtown Hyatt Regency Hotel. But you can get all the details. Just simply go to the website. I believe that if you make it to this event, it's going to be transformational. I'll look forward to seeing you. If you do make it to the event, I'll see you on Saturday when I'll be speaking. I'll be speaking around about 1:15 or so